December 17th, 1903. A freezing beach in North Carolina. 5 people were there. That's the entire audience for the most important moment in the history of human transportation. No press, no officials, just sand, wind, and a guy jogging alongside a flying machine. The US government had already given $1.8 million in today's money to a famous scientist to build this thing first. He failed twice in public. 9 weeks later, 2 bicycle mechanics did it for $1,000, and nobody believed them for 5 years. This is that story. Samuel Pierpont Langley had the kind of resume that silences a room. Astronomer, inventor, secretary of the Smithsonian Institution. By the late 1890s, he was America's scientific authority, a man who could measure the heat of a cow from a quarter-mile away and convince Congress to bankroll his dreams. In 1898, the U.S. Army handed Langley a contract worth $50,000, roughly $2 million in today's money. The mission: build a man-carrying flying machine. Not a toy, not a glider, a real powered aircraft that could carry a person and change warfare forever. Langley did not just have money. He had the Smithsonian's labs, the nation's top engineers, and the weight of the federal government behind him. His office overlooked the National Mall. His rivals, if you could call them that, were scattered in garages and barns. The press treated Langley's project as a foregone conclusion. Reports called him the man who would finally solve flight, a challenge that had defeated centuries of inventors. The Army's grant spelled it out in plain language. Langley would design, build, and test a full-scale manned aerodrome, and he would do it under his own technical discretion. No penny pinching, no oversight committees breathing down his neck. If science could fly, Langley was the one to prove it. Comparisons to the Wright brothers did not even exist yet. In 1903, nobody was betting on 2 bike mechanics from Dayton. The world expected Langley to win, and with that kind of money and backing, who could blame them? The bar was not just set, it was bolted to the ceiling. Subscribe for the next chapter in this unbelievable story. October 7th, 1903. All eyes on the Potomac. Langley's aerodrome, a spindly, steam-powered contraption, sits poised atop a houseboat, lashed to a custom-built catapult. The press gathers. Army officials watch from the deck. Charles Manley, Langley's chief engineer and would-be pilot, braces for launch. The engine roars to life. The catapult fires. In less than 3 seconds, the aerodrome lurches forward, leaves the rail, and nosedives straight into the river. Not a glide, not a hop, just a splintering crash. Later, the Washington Post calls it a large wounded bird. Langley's team hauls the wreckage from the water. They work fast. No one's ready to give up, least of all Langley. 2 months of repairs, more bracing, more hope. December 8th, 1903. The aerodrome gets a second chance. Manley climbs aboard again, bundled against the cold. The catapult hisses, launches, and disaster repeats itself. This time, the tail snaps clean off. The machine flips backwards, slams into the water, and sinks. Manley barely escapes, soaked and shivering. The press is merciless. Headlines call it a fiasco. The public, who once cheered Langley, now wonders where all that government money went. The Army's Board of Ordnance investigates. Their verdict: the aerodrome's structure was too weak for its own launch system. No amount of funding or prestige could hold those wings together. The dream of a government-backed, scientific triumph sinks with the twisted frame. Suddenly, the race for flight is wide open. Wilbur Wright watched birds more closely than most people watch their wallets. He noticed something no textbook mentioned. When a buzzard wanted to turn, it didn't flap harder, it twisted its wingtips. The secret wasn't brute force or more power, it was control. If a bird could roll and bank by flexing its wings, why not a machine? Back in the Dayton bicycle shop, Wilbur and Orville got to work. They rigged up a system of cables and pulleys that could twist the wings of their glider, warping the fabric just enough to tilt the craft left or right. This wasn't just a clever trick. It was the first practical solution for roll control, a way for a pilot to balance in the air, not just lurch forward and hope for the best. Wing warping turned out to be the ancestor of the modern aileron, the device that lets every airplane in the sky bank and turn. While others obsessed over engines and horsepower, the Wrights focused on the pilot's hands, making flight not just possible, but steerable. Their approach was simple and radical: solve for control, and the rest might follow. Next came the hard part, proving it worked with numbers, not just hunches. Subscribe for the next chapter. Orville Wright didn't trust the textbooks. The numbers looked neat on paper, but out on the dunes, their glider barely left the ground. Something was off. So in the fall of 1901, the Wrights turned their bicycle shop into a makeshift laboratory. They built a wind tunnel out of scrap wood and sheet metal, rigged up simple balances, and started testing every wing shape they could dream up. Not just a handful, nearly 200 airfoils went through that tunnel, each one measured for lift and drag, each result scribbled into a notebook. The verdict? The world's aerodynamic tables were wrong. Otto Lilienthal's famous lift figures, the Smeaton coefficient, numbers everyone else took as gospel, were way off the mark. The Wright data showed that the accepted values overstated lift and understated drag. Their new tables didn't just tweak the math, they flipped it on its head. Suddenly, the path to flight was clear, but only if you trusted your own numbers. With real data in hand, the brothers could design wings that worked, and for the first time, they could prove it. Now, all they needed was an engine that could keep up. Charlie Taylor wasn't a household name, but he was the secret weapon in the Wright brothers' shop. When no engine maker in America would take their order, calling it too heavy, too weak, and too risky, Taylor rolled up his sleeves and decided to build one from scratch. He had 6 weeks. The engine had to weigh less than a grown man and still push a flying machine through the air. No blueprints, no formal training, just a small workbench, a pile of aluminum, and a stubborn belief that it could be done. Taylor's solution was as bold as it was simple. Cast the crankcase from aluminum to save every ounce, hand machine each part, and chase every gram of extra weight out of the design. The finished engine tipped the scale at just 180 pounds, but delivered 12 horsepower, enough to turn 2 hand-carved propellers and lift the flyer off the sand. Shop notes from that spring read like a checklist for a moonshot. Test, tweak, rebuild, repeat. No time for perfection, only forward. While the headlines fixated on the pilots, Taylor's engine was the heartbeat of the flyer. Without it, there would have been no first flight, just another set of wings gathering dust in the back of a bicycle shop. The technical triad was complete: control, data, and now power. The flyer stood ready to face the wind at Kitty Hawk. Subscribe to see what happened when the world's first airplane finally left the ground. December 17th, 1903. The wind cut across Kill Devil Hills at 27 miles per hour. The sand was frozen solid at 34 degrees. 5 men from the U.S. Life-Saving Service braced against the cold. A teenage boy lingered nearby, and even a stray dog watched as Orville Wright took position on the flyer's wing. John Daniels, handed a Kodak box camera for the first time in his life, waited for the signal. The flyer rattled down the rail, lifted and stayed airborne for 12 seconds, covering 120 feet before settling into the sand. Wilbur and Orville traded turns. The second flight went farther, the third farther still. Then Wilbur took the controls for the final run. 59 seconds, 852 feet. The flyer steady until a gust forced it down. Daniel snapped the shutter, capturing the moment the world changed. That afternoon, Orville sent a telegram home. Success. 4 flights. Longest 57 seconds. No crowds, no headlines, just the facts, cold and undeniable. A gust of wind, quick and careless, finished what the flyer had started. The right wing twisted, cables snapped, and the world's first airplane ended its day battered in the sand. Orville and Wilbur packed up, knowing they'd done it. 4 flights, real flight. But the world didn't seem to care. Most newspapers missed the story entirely. Only the Boston American ran a piece, and even then they got the numbers wrong. No crowds, no headlines, no parade. Scientific American waited 5 years before giving the flyer its due. For now, the greatest leap in human travel landed in a vacuum. The flyer broken, the inventors nearly invisible. History had changed, but almost nobody noticed. Innovation still doesn't care about credentials or budgets. It rewards the stubborn, the overlooked, and sometimes the ones fixing bikes in the back room. Today's breakthroughs face the same disbelief and the same unintended consequences. Next up, how the race for speed changed everything. Hit subscribe for more untold origins.